In this video, we're going to be talking about Venn diagrams. And so, from my experience, you have seen a Venn diagram at least once in your high school career, probably in language arts. But today, we're going to apply math to it. All right, so here is an example of a Venn diagram, and there's no numbers to it or anything, just me kind of explaining. So you have two circles, so here's the blue circle, here's the red circle. Where you have overlap, that means the two things that are being measured here, which in this case, blue and red. So apparently, in these two circles where it's shared, whatever has blue and red will be both blue and red over here. All right. So anything that is outside of the two circles will be neither, which means whatever we're measuring does not have either blue or red. Now, the last little thing I want to talk about, and that is notice what I'm highlighting here in the Venn diagram. I'm cutting out the shared section of the circle. So that means whatever's in here will be blue only, which means the same exact thing for the red circle. When you cut out the shared, we're just doing red only. Okay. Now it's kind of confusing, especially when we don't have any numbers or anything. I'm just kind of giving you a blank example. So let's go ahead and dive into something. All right. So in this Venn diagram, we're talking about pet owners. So we have cats and dogs. All right. So let's kind of answer a few questions. First off, how many people were surveyed in this problem? All right. Very simple. And that is just add up all your numbers 45, 20, 53, and 10. So how many people were surveyed in this particular question? Well, 128. Now, now we start dealing with being able to read the diagram, the Venn diagram. So what is the probability that someone chose cats? All right. Now, here's the thing. All we're looking for is cats, and this is where it can be a little confusing. All right. So it doesn't say something like cats, not dogs. It just says cats. All right. So if it's a very vague cat only, or I'm sorry, very vague cat, just it doesn't matter if there's a dog in the house, what has a cat? Okay. And so when you add these two up, 20 and 45, you would get 65 people have cats, but we're looking for the probability. So we're going to divide that by the total amount of people, which is going to give you 50.7%. Okay. For the next question is, what is the probability that someone chose both? All right. So what that means is we're looking for how many of these people have both a cat and a dog in their house. Well, again, both cat and dog. Whenever you hear the word both, 99% of the time, it's going to be where the two circles overlap, and there's 20 of them, and we are going to divide that by the total, which is 128, which gives us 15.7%. Now, for this one here where it says dogs and then it says slash does not cats, it can be a little confusing. All right, so in fact, I think there might be a grammar issue on this one. So what this means is when it says dogs, not cats, basically what that means is dogs only. All right. It just means dogs only. So how many dog only people are there? All right. And so using my highlighter, I'm just going to you remember the dog only would be the part of the circle that does not include the both section. So there's 53. So we're going to have 53 people, and we're dividing that by the whole 128 because that's the total, which gives you 41.4%. Okay. All right. Now let's kind of dive into an incomplete Venn diagram. All right. So an incomplete Venn diagram. Now let's kind of break this down a little bit. All right. So it says here that 50 people voted yes. Now, there's going to be a temptation to write 50 right here. Okay. That's going to be a temptation. But technically, that's not correct. Actually, I don't even know why I say technically. It's not correct. When it ever says 50 people vote yes, that means there's going to be 50 people in the yes circle. So in the yes circle, there's going to be a total of 50 people. Okay, so in this yes circle. So what that means is whatever number you put right here, whatever number you put right here, will add to get to 50. Okay, now the same concept when it says to 60 people voted no. All right, that means 60 people, and what that means is whatever number, whatever two numbers are here and here will add up to get to 60. Okay, so now taking that example, let's go back to the cats and dog one. All right, so if I was to ask you how many people, all right, so this is not a part of the original question. I'm just using this to kind of back up what I'm saying here, where it says how many people how many people have a cat in their house? Okay, so how many people have a cat in their house? You would say, well, there was a total of 65. And the reason why it's 65, because again, this is where it gets a little confusing. When you look at the cat circle, you have 65 and 20. That adds up to, I'm sorry, you have 45 and 20, which add up to 65. But if you look at the dog circle, same concept for the dogs. All right, so same concept for the dogs. How many dogs are there, or how many homes actually have dogs? Well, you add them up, you get 73. Okay, so that's what, when we're talking about 50 people said yes, 60 people said no, this is kind of like what we're referring to, how there's 73 dogs, 45 cats, or 65 cats. All right, so let's keep going. So again, keep that in mind when we're going through this. Now, the next thing it says is that 10 people voted for both. Okay, 10 people voted for both. Now, this makes life a lot easier because now we know how many people voted for both. So let's kind of clean this up a little bit. Actually, I cleaned it up too much. All right. All right. So 10 people voted for both. 10. Now, in order to solve for this, very simply, remember what I just said. And I gave you that example, and that is whatever number is here, whatever number is here will give me this number here. So that's 50, that's 10. So that means that this is going to have to be 40. All right. Now, same concept for the nose. Look at the nose circle. The nose circle, if you remember, has a total of 60 people in it. We know that 10 of the 60 is in the shared section, but we don't know how much is there. Well, if we know the whole thing adds up to 60, well, that's pretty easy at this point, which gives me 50. All right. Now, lastly, let me kind of clean this up a little bit. All right. Now, now, guys, once you've already figured out all this stuff right here, this this 50 and 60 might be confusing. Technically, you don't need that anymore. Okay, you only need that just to figure out these three numbers. Now, once you get to this point, it says 200 people voted. Okay, now going back to what we went over, and that is when you talk about total people, that means this number, this number, this number, and this number all add up to 200. Okay, so a simple subtraction problem will give it to you. So 40 plus 10 plus 50 gives me 100 minus 200, you get 100 people. So how many people voted neither? Well, 100 people did. It says, what is the percentage of people that voted neither? Well, there was 100 people that voted neither. You divide that by the total number of people, which is 200, and you're going to end up with 50%. All right, let's try one more. All right, now, same exact thing, except we're just looking for other things. Now, all right, so it says 30 people voted yes. So now here's the question. 30. Does it go there? So does it go here? Does it go here? Does it go here? Does it go here? Or does it go here? It says 30 people voted yes. So it's not giving you anything but 30 people voted yes. That's it. So hopefully you said what goes on top. 35 people voted neither. Well, that's easy. 35. 25 voted for both. 25. Okay. That's all the information we have. But I think that's enough, though. Now, remember, again, using my highlighter here, let me highlight the yes circle. Remember, in the yes circle, whatever number goes here, whatever goes there, will add to this number there. So 25, so there's 30 people in the circle, 25 are in the both sections, so a simple subtraction problem would say, hey, this would be 5. Now remember, once you figure out that yes circle, technically, I don't even need this 30 anymore. I don't need it. It served its purpose. All right. Now let me clean this up real quick. Now, what we have here is 175 people voted both. I'm sorry, voted total. Remember, whatever number's here, 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 and here will give you 175. So a simple subtraction problem will give it to us. So how many people were no only? 110. So we're at 110. What is the percentage of people that voted no only? Now, because of the fact that the problem specifically said no only, okay, that means you're only focusing on no only. Well, here's the no circle, okay, here's the no circle, but it said no only, so that means all of the whole both section of the circle we don't use. So we're only looking for no only, which is 110. So 110 divided by a total of, what was that, 175? So when you do the math, you're going to get 62.8%. All right. So lastly, we'll go over this real quick. Now, again, we're dealing with a Venn diagram that is not filled out, so we're going to have to do that. All right, so first thing we're looking at is 126 people read the daily news. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about where the 126, meaning if it's no daily news only or anything. So since it is a blanket daily news, it's going to go on the outside, and I got to put it right there. 31 read both, so that's easy. Both and neither are going to be the easiest things in the world. So that's 31. And then 10 read neither. So 10 will be up underneath here. Okay. Now, remember the daily news is 126. Now, this is the third time we've done this, and that is whatever number is here plus this 31 will give me 126. So a simple subtraction problem gives me 95. Okay. Now, again, once you figure out the daily news, you don't need that 126 anymore. That 126 is just extra information. So rather than it confusing me, I'm just going to go ahead and cross it out. I don't need you. Okay. Now, next thing we need to figure out is we need to figure out what goes here. Okay. Now, it says in the directions that 150 people were actually surveyed. So that means whatever this number is, or well, it's 95. 95 plus 31 plus whatever number this is, plus 10 will give me 150. Well, simple subtraction problem will give me this being 14. So now that it's 14, now we can actually answer these three questions. So it says, what is the probability that a person only reads the Weekly Gazette? All right, so the whole only reads. That means the entire Weekly Gazette is going to be cut up a little bit because it's only asking for only. So only reads a Weekly Gazette. And my computer froze up for a second. So working, well, hopefully you just see the circle even though it's spinning here. Only reads would be this 14. Okay, so only reads would be this 14. So it's going to be 14 divided by 150. Now, depending on how I ask you to solve for this, I may say find give me the fraction, which would be 7 over 75, or I might say, hey, you know what? I want to have a percentage. So, and of course, each question will tell you exactly how to round. So don't get all freaked out on, do I do a percentage? Do I do a fraction? Don't worry about that. All right. So reads the daily news or reads the Weekly Gazette. All right. So all we're looking for is whoever reads the daily news or the Weekly Gazette. All right. So let me kind of, I want to get rid of this 126. I'm tired of looking at it. All right. So all we're looking for is read the daily news or the Gazette. So I don't care if they read one, other, or both. So 100, these 95 read the daily news. This 31 reads both. This 14 reads the Weekly Gazette only. It doesn't matter because the question's asking basically how many readers are there in the problem. Well, there's 140 readers. Divide by 150, which gives you 14 out of 15, or it could give you 93.3%. And then lastly, the last question that says, how many readers read the daily news and the Weekly Gazette? So what that means is we're specifically looking for people that read both. So that would be 31. So it'll be 31 divided by 150, which 31 divided by 150 cannot be converted any lower, and it's going to be 20.7%. All right. All right. So those are Venn diagrams. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you again.